Year 6 and welcome to another reading lesson. I hope you all had a fantastic half term and are ready to take another week of remote learning. So we're going to do some non-fiction reading this week in reading, and we're going to start off with learning about Namibia and the desert which is located in southern Africa. So Namibia is a country and it's located in southern Africa, and it's roughly an 11-hour flight from London or a 3-hour flight from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now I don't know about you, but I'd love to be in a hot climate right now, so all we can do is dream. So let's find out a little bit more about Namibia. So the Namib Desert stretches along the Atlantic Ocean over 1,000 kilometers. That's roughly about 620 miles, with huge dunes as far as the eye can see. The desert is considered the oldest desert in the world and has been arid, which means has a dry condition, for more than 55 million years. So that's suggesting to me that it's very hot. So now we found out a little bit more about Namibia and where it's located. This is what our non-fiction text is going to be about. So we're going to find out some information about the desert located in Namibia. So we're going to do some paired reading first. So this is the text, as you can see, but we are going to do some paired reading first. I'm going to share the text on my screen, so you should be able to read the text from my screen. So you don't need to open up a PDF file of the text, but if you want to, that's absolutely fine. You can follow along and listen to me read. Because this is a paired reading activity, this means you need to pause the video and continue reading where I ask you to pause the video. So you need to make sure you're also taking the ownership of the reading and not just listening to myself read. So I'm going to share the text now, and you should be able to see the text on the screen. So let's start off with the title. I've enlarged it so that way we can see it because it's quite a big text. So the title we saw earlier is From Desert to Sea. Get ready for a wild adventure as NG kids head to Namibia in southern Africa. So that's where we know it's located. Namibia is located in South Africa. So I'm just going to enlarge the screen here. Then you should be able to see it now. NG Kids Alex explores the desert. There's scorched earth as far as the eye can see, and in the distance, a swirling tornado of sound known as a dust devil sweeps menacingly across the horizon. Here, suggesting menacingly, it's quite crazy, all the dust that's flying, because obviously a tornado is almost like a spiral, and there's a lot of dust that's spiraling around. Scorched suggests that it's very, very hot. You can describe the sun as being scorched, the scorching sun, saying that it's very hot. We are driving through the vast Namib Desert, and we've not seen another person for hours. It's no wonder the desert's dry climate means that it receives just 1 centimetre of rain per year, and the temperatures here can reach a whopping 50 degrees during summer. So again, barely any rain, 1 centimetre of rain per year, and 50 degrees during summer, suggesting it's scorching hot. Desert shipwrecks. You'd expect a desert like this to be far away from water, right? Well, the Namib Desert actually extends right up to the cold Atlantic Ocean. We are heading to a treacherous stretch of shoreline known as the Skeleton Coast. Treacherous suggesting that it's very big. So called because the number of shipwrecks here. We stare out the window, stunned, as we drive past hundreds of ruined vessels in the sandy ship graveyard. When the cool sea water meets the hot desert air, it can create a thick mist, making it difficult for sailors to see the land, explains our guide Hendrik Gunnewald. Glop. So these are the pictures that you can see here. The desert runs right up to the sea, and shipwrecks in the desert that's been ruined here. So they're in the desert as they've been ruined. Pretty in Pink, a much more cheerful sight greets us further down the coast. Nearly 50,000 greater flamingos are feeding in a lagoon, a shallow area of salt water that's cut off from the sea by a sandbank. Their long, thin legs gracefully stride through the water as they submerge their heads, snacking on the tasty worms, crabs, mollusks, and algae. Incredibly, the birds get their candy floss pink colour from the food they eat. Yum. Okay, now I'm going to continue, and where I ask you to stop off, you're going to take on the ownership of the reading. So I'm going to just read the captions under the pictures. Sunfish are known locally as mola mola. Pelicans can carry up to 2 kg of fish in one mouthful. So that's quite a lot of fish, 2 kilograms of fish in one mouthful. And you know that their beaks have been actually adapted to do this, as we learned in science. Hevel-sized dolphins live in Walvis Bay. They're one of the world's smallest dolphins. I love dolphins. Have any of you actually swam with dolphins? I'd love to know. Let me know on Seesaw. Ocean life. Boarding a catamaran at Walvis Bay, we are joined by a cheeky pelican above, so you can see that's the pelican above, who perches proudly on the boat. Our captain tosses a tasty fish towards the 175 centimetre long bird, which it catches its enormous pouch-like beak. From the boat, we spot a giant grey fish lying lazily on its side near the water's surface. So you can see that on the picture on the left, with its flattened body and two huge pointy fins. It's as tall as it is long, nearly 3 meters. It's sunbathing, says the captain. After hunting in deeper, colder waters, they need to warm up. That's why they are known as sunfish. Ocean life. Boarding a catamaran at the Walvis Bay, we are joined by a cheeky pelican, and you can see that in the picture above, who perches proudly on the boat. Our captain tosses a tasty fish towards a 175 centimetre long bird, which it catches in its enormous pouch-like beak, so we know that's the adaptation it has to catch the fish. From the boat, we can spot a giant grey fish laying lazily on its side near the water surface, and that's on the left. With its flattened body and two huge pointy fins, it's as tall as it is long, nearly 3 meters. It's sunbathing, says the captain. After hunting in deeper, colder waters, they need to warm up. That's why they are known as sunfish. Now I'd like you to continue reading from What a Racket. So we're just going to read this subheading here and right till the end of desert. So pause the video here and continue reading. Fantastic, Year 6. I had some great expression whilst you were all reading, and some fluent readers as well, so well done. Cape fur seals can sleep on land or in the ocean. When snoozing in water, they staying afloat by paddling with one flipper. I think that should say they stay afloat by paddling with one flipper. So their flipper is what their feet, almost what they use to walk. Greater flamingos, and as Kent know, that is my favourite animal. Greater flamingos, like the ones we saw, are identified by their pink, black tip-toed beaks and pale colour. So that's how they are usually spotted, and that's how you know it's a flamingo, through these characteristics. Sand people speak a language from the Ko-language family, which is made up of unique clicking sounds.
Sand survival. The Sand people, or Bushmen, of southern Africa have lived in Namibia for thousands of years, long before European settlers came to the country. Although many now live as farmers, until recently they led hunter-gatherer lifestyle, and the Sand still have a neat trick for storing water in the parched landscape. During the rainy season, they hollow out ostrich eggs, fill them with water through a hole in the top, and then place a stick in the hole to close it back up. Then the egg is buried in the ground, ready for any thirsty person that may pass by. Cool. If you've ever seen an ostrich egg before, it's rather large. It's a really big egg. It's almost the size of an Easter egg. If you think about a big Easter egg, if you think of it like that, it's not the size of a normal egg that we have, for example, a scrambled egg from. It's really big, which is why they can make it quite hollow and put water in there so people can drink it at a later stage.
I'd like you now to read underneath these two pictures. So read this picture here. Pause the video. Fantastic. And then this next picture here, you're just going to finish off with looking at what that picture actually is, and it's an actual animal. Fantastic, Year 6. Well done for getting through the text and reading aloud with me. It's really good that you're practicing reading aloud, as it builds your confidence within your reading. So please make sure you are pausing the video when I ask you to do so and continue reading with the text. So now that we have completed our paired reading, we found out about the Namibia desert. We know how hot it is. Can anyone remember how hot it is? I'd like you to pause the video and think about how hot is it in the Namibia desert. Well done if you said it's scorching hot. That's how it's described, and it's around 50 degrees Celsius during the summer months. So very, very hot, as we know. Now, I'm going to do these set of questions. I've written out the questions for myself to answer, so you do not need to answer any of these questions. This is for me to answer. So my first one, I've got a true or false statement, and it's pelicans can carry up to 2 kg of fish in one mouthful. My second question is fact or opinion. Namibia is located in South Africa. And number 3, how does the pelican catch a tasty fish? So these are 3 questions that I'm going to model to you here under my visualizer. So let's turn over to that.
So as you can see, I've written out the date, reading, because that's the subject I'm doing, and then my 3 questions. My first question is true or false, pelicans can carry up to 2 kg of fish in one mouthful. So in the text, I'm looking for the word 2 kg, and that will help me find out if that is true or false. Well, actually, I can look for pelicans as well. So actually, here in the text is a picture of a pelican, and I remember that from reading the text aloud, and it actually says here pelicans, that's one of our keywords I was looking for, pelicans can carry up to 2 kg of fish in one mouthful. So actually that statement there is true. So I'm just going to write in true. You don't have to write down the question, just true or false, and that first one is true. The second fact or opinion, Namibia is located in South Africa. Well, I know from my introduction to this text, Namibia is actually located in South Africa, and it states it here, Namibia in South Africa. So that is a fact and not an opinion. It's factual. We know that's a fact. Vision factual, I should actually write fact. Okay, so fact. And then number 3, it's a question, and it's how does the pelican catch a tasty fish? So here I know I need to look in the pelican section and look for tasty fish, and that will help me understand how a pelican catches a tasty fish. So our captain tosses a tasty fish towards the 175 centimeter long bird, which it catches in its enormous pouch-like beak. So that is how a pelican catches a tasty fish, and it's in its enormous pouch-like beak. So I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to write in its pouch-like stop. So a pelican catches a fish in its enormous pouch-like beak. So I've answered all 3 questions. I've written down the question numbers and just simply wrote down my answer. So you need to ensure you're doing the same thing, and it's now time to answer your questions.
You have 8 set of statements here. Your first section, it's true or false, so you just need to write in number 1, true or false, just like I modelled to you earlier.
When considering if something is fact or opinion for questions number 5 to 8, please make sure you look in the text, because I know it can be a little bit confusing. So if you're confused between establishing if something is a fact or an opinion, have a look at the text. Does it state in the text that someone has said it, so given their opinion, or does it state that it's actually true, you can measure it? So if it's that someone has said something and it's in the text and you can support it in the text with the evidence, it may well be a fact. So please look at that carefully. So for example, number 6, if sailors were more vigilant means if they're more careful, there'd be less shipwrecks. Have a look in the text if there's a statement in the text that states this. If it's not, it's most likely that it will be an opinion, but you need to establish that from looking at the text. So have a go at these 8 questions and come back to the video once you have finished.
Fantastic if you got through all 8 questions. I'm now going to reveal the answers to you. Please do not continue with the video if you haven't finished the questions. It's really important you are showing integrity and honesty whilst you mark through these questions. So I'm now going to reveal the answers to you all. Number 1, it hardly ever rains in the Namib Desert, and that is true, and that states it in that first section that it's barely ever rains, and they get 1 centimeter of rain. Number 2, temperatures in the desert during the summer can be as high as 50 degrees. That is true. It states it in the same section, that first paragraph in the text. That's where it states it. Number 3, the Namib Desert is far away from any water. That's actually false, because under the subheading Desert Shipwrecks, it says you'd expect a desert like this is to be far away from water, right? Well, the Namib Desert extends right up to the cold Atlantic Ocean, suggesting that it's actually very close to the water. And number 4, there are lots of Cape fur seals this year because they are not being eaten as much, and that is true because it mentions that there are no predators, and a predator is an animal that eats, so it's an animal that is at the top of the food chain, eating other animals which are known as prey, and that is true. Now we're going on to our fact or opinion. Remember, this is a grammar section within our reading lessons, but also if you cannot find a fact, or if you cannot establish between a fact or opinion, use a text to help you aid your answer. So for example, number 5, Cape fur seals use their flippers to fall asleep on water. That is a fact, as it does state that in the text as well. So that is a fact. Number 6, if sailors were more vigilant, there'd be less shipwrecks. That is an opinion, because it is showing that if they were close to where they're going, if they're looking at where they're going, then there'd be less shipwrecks around. So some of you might have actually said that's a fact, and actually it doesn't state it in the text that the sailors need to be more vigilant, so that is definitely a judgment formed by somebody. Number 7, Heaviside dolphins are among the smallest of their species, and that is true. It does state that in the text. The picture of the dolphin, it says Heaviside dolphin live in Walvis Bay and they're the world's smallest dolphin, so that is a fact. And then lastly, the Namib Desert is one of the most unique places you could ever visit, and that is opinion, because some people probably have visited other unique places, and unique means different, so some people might disagree and think actually I've been to another place and it's more unique than the Namib Desert. And I'd be interested to know if you have travelled to any place, sorry, dropped my pen. I'd be interested to know if you have travelled to any place where you think is more unique than the Namib Desert. So well done if you got all 8 questions correct, and if you haven't, that's absolutely fine. Please go in and write your corrections. It's really important that we write our corrections in after we've completed a question and been given the answer, because we can learn from our mistakes. So now your next set of questions, you have 5 questions here. I'd like you to pause the video and you're going to now open the text. So you need to have the text open in front of you and locate your answers from the text. It's really important that you have the text open because you cannot find the answers without the text. So all the answers are in the text, so please look at the text carefully and come back to the video once you have finished that. So pause the video here and get hold of your text and answer your questions. Okay, year 6, I'm now going to reveal the answers to you. Please make sure you are marking through your answers. It's really important, like I just said earlier, that you show integrity firstly, and that you're also writing in your corrections if you did get any question wrong. This is great because that's how we learn rapidly. So, number 9, what does the author suggest is the reason behind them seeing no one else on their drive through the Namib Desert? So, because of the hot climbing and the swirling tornado of sand which seeps crazily across the horizon, which means it's very difficult for people to actually travel and come and visit the desert, because there's a lot of sand that's sand that's up in the air, in the wind, which makes it difficult to see people. So again, this language just sweeps crazily across the horizon, which means there's a lot of sand within the surroundings, so it's very difficult. And also, if you've actually written that because of the hot climate, like I mentioned here, that is another reason why. So the sun is scorching hot. The temperatures rise to about 50 degrees during the summer. So again, that would be a reason why the author has suggested no one actually comes to drive through the Namib Desert. Number 10, why did the Skeleton Coast get its name? So because of the number of shipwrecks here, and you can see that in the section of desert shipwrecks, and that is how it got the name of Skeleton Coast. It's a pun because the ships have actually been destroyed, and you can almost see the remains of the body of the ships, so that is why it is named Skeleton Coast. Number 11, what were the flamingos eating in the lagoon? So the flamingos were eating tasty worms, crabs, mollusks, and algae. So algae is almost like seaweed that you can find in the ocean. So that is what the flamingos were eating. Number 12, how many Cape fur seals live at Pelican Point? So 50,000 Cape fur seals live at Pelican Point. And finally, number 13, according to the text, why do so many Cape fur seals live at Pelican Point? And that is because of the lack of natural predators. We know that predators are animals at the top of the food chain. They eat prey. So because of the lack of natural predators, not enough predators in the area, such as white sharks and orcas. So I hope you got all questions correct, and if you didn't, that's absolutely fine. Just go back in and make your corrections. Make sure you use a different colour pen if you have one available for you to write your corrections in. So well done, Year 6, and thank you for getting right till the end of today's reading lesson. The section I'd like you to read today is, so you're going to send this on Seesaw, the section I would like you to read is Desert Shipwrecks. So from that, just that subheading, you're just going to read right till the end of it, right to gulp. So please record yourself reading that and upload it onto Seesaw. And I will see you all tomorrow in our next reading lesson.